What's up, everybody? This is the Booch, and welcome to episode 8 of the Boochcast reviews, Darkside of the 90s. And, of course, once again, I am joined by the one and only, the Broke Souls Ginger, Mr. Zack Scott.
What's up, dude and dudettes? Yes, it's me, the Broke Souls Ginger, Zack Scott. Generally speaking, I'm not that broke yet.
Yes, and as you can see, once again, I have reached a point where I've had to take off the long sleeves because I've been sweating like Elvis's wife at a Ricky Martin concert. And,
That's him, not me.
Well, here's the thing. As you know, last time I made that joke, I mentioned Enrique Iglesias, and Elvis and I spoke on the phone, so I tried to clear with him in advance. Hey, I made this joke, and I told him the joke, and I said, is there any problem with this joke? He goes, yeah, there's one. He goes, what? He said, you should have said Ricky Martin. Because my first instinct was to say Ricky Martin. Then I thought, wouldn't she go with Enrique because Ricky Martin's gay? And Elvis is like, oh, hell no. She thinks she can turn him. I was like, okay. Ricky Martin it is. Living la vida loca.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I know I sang a little Living la vida loca right there, but this topic we're getting into today is the farthest thing from Living la vida loca. Not even in the same fucking ballpark.
Nope.
Because today, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting into a topic that some of you are literally going to be sitting here and going, I can't believe two white people are going to say this. Well, we're the ones doing Darkside of the 90s. This is a topic. We're getting into it. So, I'm sorry, not sorry. We're covering Darkside of the 90s here.
Yes, we are.
And this week, we have one of the biggest stories of the 90s.
Yep.
One that's been talked about numerous times. And if you've seen the notorious biopic,
yeah,
you learned a little bit about this too. We're getting into hip-hop.
Yes.
The East versus West media war.
Yeah.
That's right. The battle between the East Coast rappers, the West Coast rappers, Biggie Smalls, Tupac Shakur, and everything in between.
Everything in between. Yes, sir.
So, I guess we should just get it started?
Yep.
All right. Hip-hop music was born in the 70s.
Yes.
At parties in New York. Hip-hop was an independent art form for a long time. It had a kind of downtown scene in New York.
Yes.
So it was very much like, downtown on the streets, people doing rap ciphers and freestyle battles and stuff like that. So it was very much kind of built up from the underground. It wasn't heard on white radio stations.
Of course not.
And black radio stations were really hesitant at the time to play rap music also.
Yes.
Now, white people didn't play it for obvious reasons.
Yes.
Black people didn't play it because they didn't think it was going to do well with the FCC or that it was promoting a part of black culture that other black people probably didn't want represented at the time. So there's a variety of reasons there. But the core audience was African-American middle class and working class adults.
Yes.
This was more the target audience. Now, eventually, it would expand and reach out to other people.
Yes, it would.
But when it initially started, this was the target audience. What they heard when they heard hip-hop was noise.
Yes.
The major record stores wouldn't even carry rap. So that's the thing. Most people, when they hear rap, they were thinking this is just a bunch of noise. So that scene in Back to the Future. You kids are just too darn loud. That was the black version of that.
Pretty much.
Sorry, you kids are just too darn loud. And people older than 25 looked down on rap and thought it was trash, wouldn't last long, and didn't take any talent. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Yes.
Now, I can understand in some cases how people can look at rap and think it's trash. Because there's been some rap songs that are trash. And here's the thing. You can say that about any music genre. There's plenty of rock songs that are shit. There's plenty of country music songs that are god fucking awful. There's different, there's even R&B that's not good.
Yep.
There's some forms of music where you have the good and you have the bad. Now, it wouldn't last long.
No.
Obviously, it did.
No.
It's still a thing today.
Oh, yes.
But when something's starting out, there's always that moment of like, this probably ain't gonna last very long. There's a lot of... So I can understand in the 70s how people might think that.
Yes.
The one thing I 100% disagree with is that it doesn't take any talent. Rap takes talent.
Yes, it does.
As far as being a lyricist.
Yes.
That's where the talent is. The beats takes a little bit of talent, but sometimes they sample things from other songs and other things like that. So I can understand why they say there's no talent involved. I get that. It's kind of like what we were saying before in the grunge episode about the boy bands.
Yes.
They didn't think they were real bands because they didn't play any instruments. In hip hop, they don't play any instruments.
No, they don't.
So that's the one thing boy bands and rappers have in common. Multiple people on stage, all of them got a mic.
Yes.
So that's the fundamental thing there. But if you've heard a rapper, it takes skill.
Yes, it does.
Especially if you're a battle rapper, there's skill involved.
Yes, there is.
I've tried to freestyle. I suck at it.
That's the only thing you say.
Oh, fuck you. Okay? But I've tried it. I'm not very good.
No,
Mostly because it requires a lot of top of the head thinking and my brain fucking fries up on me. So I mean, if I wrote something, I could maybe write something down and say it. But as far as off the dome, can't do it.
Probably rap about how much you love pizza.
Yeah. Maybe I could. Maybe I would.
Pineapple goes on a pizza.
No, it fucking doesn't. But two rap fans in an unlikely place dedicate themselves to bringing hip-hop music and culture to everyone. Their names are Dave Mays and John Schechter. And they start a magazine out of a dorm in Harvard called The Source.
Yeah.
Source Magazine.
Yes.
Was founded by two Jewish kids in Harvard.
Yeah.
Or at least one of them was Jewish. I don't know if the other one was or not.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But one of them was. Two white boys create the ultimate rap magazine and award show. Which, by the way, funniest fucking thing I've seen this whole entire thing.
Yep.
Like, people, there's so many people that try to kick white people out of hip hop. And yet, your most popular magazine and one of the most popular historic award shows was created by white people.
Very true.
So white people helped elevate rap music.
Yes, they did. Yeah. Where we got that from?
That just makes me laugh.
It does. It makes me laugh too.
That people get so mad when white people listen to rap or try to get into rap or do anything with rap. Meanwhile, white people helped make rap global.
Very true.
Fucking, that's, yeah, I mean, I wonder how many people were humbled after hearing that fucking part. The magazine went from one sheet to 6 pages to 16 pages. They were inspired by Rolling Stones magazine, which ironically had Run DMC on the cover.
Yes, it did.
Because Rolling Stone magazine was the main music magazine that's out there.
Yes.
It's like the top one out of all of music.
Yes.
If you're on the cover of Rolling Stone,
you made it.
That's a big deal.
That's a very big deal.
Very big deal. It's awesome. There's been musicians, actors, comedians, a lot of people that have gone on Rolling Stone magazine. That made you somebody. Especially if you got interviewed by Rolling Stone.
True.
You know. In fact, I remember Kid Rock used to have one of his songs, like the opening line is, I've been on the cover of the Rolling Stones. I met the president when I was half stoned. I love that. So, they released a cover of Aerosmith's Walk This Way.
Yeah.
Again, this is another reason why some people think rap doesn't take any talent, because they're doing covers of other songs. And in fact, I heard Run DMC's version of Walk This Way before I heard Aerosmith's.
Oh, okay.
So I always thought it was a Run DMC song.
No, it was Aerosmith.
I was wondering, what the fuck is Aerosmith singing this song for? Is Run DMC okay with this? I was getting confused. I didn't know, as a kid, I didn't know that people did covers of other people's songs.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is weird. This doesn't make any sense. So this sells 10 million records, and it opens the door for MTV to start playing hip-hop with a show called Yo MTV Raps.
Yep.
Which, did you ever watch that?
No.
Neither did I.
No.
I don't know. Maybe, I guess I was too young. I wasn't really watching much.
Yeah, I think we were way too young.
I wasn't watching much MTV as a kid.
Nope.
The only thing I saw was Beavis and Butthead.
Yep.
The show helps underground artists get exposure with performances and interviews. The source starts writing about artists like Eazy-E, whose rhymes describe a very different existence from the one many of its white suburban readers are living. We also start seeing the birth of gangsta rap.
Yep.
NWA's Straight Outta Compton is the first rap album to get a parental advisory sticker.
Yeah.
So that's the first one to be do not let your kids listen to was NWA. And its controversial single, Fuck the Police, draws the nation's attention. It was relatable to their audience because they all dealt with racism from the cops.
Yes.
So that's why they were all about, fuck the police coming straight from the underground. And they would literally try to ban them from doing that song at shows.
Yeah.
Like they would break, and of course they would break that rule all the time.
Yeah.
And that's when riots would start and they would have to get out of the building and people would shut the show down.
Yep.
Because they didn't like the fact that they were basically, going against the police. Even though there were black people dealing with racism from cops.
Yes, that's true.
It was a thing. Even in the 90s, this was still a thing. And obviously in some cases today it's been a thing here and there. But in the 90s, especially the early 90s, it was still very prevalent.
Yeah, it was very prevalent.
Now, was it as bad as it was in the 80s, 70s, 60s, and 50s? Fuck, no.
It was not.
But still bad.
Yes.
Still bad. The source became the place for people to read about what is going on in the world of hip-hop. And Straight Outta Compton goes platinum. Mm-hmm. People said a lot of black people were buying their music. You don't get that level of success with just black people buying the music. You got to have all races buying the music.
Yes.
Especially the teenage white kids out in the suburbs who want to know what's going on. Mm-hmm. So that's another key thing. It wasn't just black people making these albums go platinum. Mm-hmm. Black people were buying it. White people were buying it. Hispanic people were buying it.
Everybody was buying it.
Everybody loved it.
Except for the parents.
Yeah, the parents didn't like it.
No, they didn't. Ooh, my mom and dad didn't like it.
And here's the thing. Obviously, now as an adult, I don't blame them. Mm-hmm. Obviously, as a kid, you're not happy about it because you want to listen to it. Like, Mom, don't kill my vibe. Mm-hmm. But in hindsight, I can understand why parents didn't like it. Because I know if I had a kid, I wouldn't want them listening to it.
No.
I wouldn't. I'm just being honest. I'll listen to it, but I don't want my kid listening to it. Mm-hmm. I would not have, there's certain things that I don't want my kid listening to. But here's the difference between me and a lot of crazies out there. If I don't want my kid listening to something, I tell my kid not to listen to it. I'm not going to tell your kid not to listen to it. You let your kid listen to whatever you want. Mm-hmm. You choose the music for your child.
Yes.
Don't tell my child what to listen to.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah.
That's what I don't like. When you try to tell everybody's kids not to listen to something. I want to ban this because I don't want my kid listening to it. Well, then just don't have your kid listen to it. Be the fucking parent.
Yeah, there you go. Be the parent.
If you're not fit to be the parent, don't have the fucking kid.
There you go.
Put them up for adoption or send them to some grandparent's house. Whatever the fuck. Young kids fell in love with hip-hop, and it was a youth movement. The success of Fuck the Police also happens to come about at the time of Rodney King.
Yep. Which
further proved NWA's point, and now police brutality was being talked about on news media outlets around the world. Yeah. Because back then it was talked about in circles, but it was not really made available to the public. Yeah. It was just shit you heard back and forth. But after Rodney King, now people start seeing it everywhere.
Yes.
We now know this is a real thing.
Yes.
This is not something that's being made up.
No.
And it's something that needs to be stopped.
Yeah.
So
I remember Rodney King.
Oh, yeah. On March 3rd, 1991, 4 members of the Los Angeles Police Department beat an unarmed black man pulled over for a traffic violation. The beating is captured on tape. Yeah. It was one of the first times we saw police brutality on live TV, and it rocked the world and caused a riot in LA.
Yes, it did.
Now, before I get to that, let me just say this. The Rodney King thing, when this happened, Every comic had a joke about this, by the way.
They probably did.
Eddie Griffin had the best one, in my opinion. He was talking about Rodney King. He talked about how he got $1 million for every blow. Mm-hmm. $56 million. Mm. He's like, I'm looking to get fucked up. I'm doing 90 miles an hour in a Volkswagen. Yelling out the window, fuck the police. Fuck all you motherfuckers. Whoop my ass, give me my cash. And that would be the punchline. Yes. But that was the truth. He got paid.
Yeah, he did.
And he deserved it.
Yeah,
you know, because clearly this was something that was unethical. And it was something that was horrible. And apparently he kept getting back up, which caused the beatings to go on even more. But it was literally one of those moments where you're just like, fuck.
Yep.
Why?
Oh, here we go. Why did you do this? I don't know.
And here's the thing. It's like, okay. I don't know what he said it was a traffic violation. Now look, I don't know what he said. I don't know what he did. But you did not need 4 police officers to beat this guy with a club.
No, they didn't.
I can't think of a single reason. The only reason I can think of is like, oh, he had a gun. Clearly he didn't.
He didn't have a gun.
Because if he did have a gun, it would have been brought up in the testimony. So obviously that's not the case.
Nope.
So what other reason would you have 4 people doing that? Now, if it was him one-on-one with a cop, okay, I'd like to hear more of the story. Mm-hmm. But when it's just 4 of you at once on a 4-on-1 beatdown, that's unfair no matter who it is.
Very true.
You know, it's like that thing in The Karate Kid. He goes, 1-to-1 fight, fair. 5-to-1 fight, too much for anybody. And that was the issue. It's one thing to go one-on-one with a motherfucker. Mm-hmm. When you got 5 guys jumping you, you know, unless you're Miyagi or Jackie Chan or some shit, you ain't gonna beat those odds. And then, of course, it caused the riot in L.A.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, and here was my thing about that. This is mostly my question here. Mm-hmm. Okay? I get people are angry. I get people are pissed off.
Yes.
Here's what I don't get.
What?
If the whole point of this is about Rodney King and police brutality and wanting justice, I have yet to see the connection between getting justice and stealing shit out of stores.
Yeah, true.
I'm not drawing the parallel here.
Me neither.
Not seeing it. Like that, how does that uplift the black community?
Doesn't.
It doesn't. That's the part I don't get. You know? Clearly, like I said, I get being angry, I get wanting justice, I get doing a million other things. I fail to see how setting shit on fire and stealing shit out of stores gets anything accomplished.
Doesn't.
And then you tie that into shit we've seen over the last couple of years, with shit being burned to the ground and things going crazy. And here's the other thing that bothered me, is the whole concept of everything that we've seen this year and in this documentary all revolves around one thing, as I said before, police brutality.
Yes.
Here's my question. If that's what this is about, how come there were no police stations getting attacked?
That's true.
Why was there no cops getting mauled by groups of people?
Don't know. All they want to do is loot stores so I can break stuff and set stuff on fire and everything else. It's like, okay, don't you guys have something better to do in life?
I'm just saying, if that's who you're mad at, why is nothing happening over here?
True.
Like, that would be like if we were in a house full of people, mm-hmm. and I slapped you in the face, mm-hmm. and instead of hitting me back, mm-hmm. you beat the shit out of everybody else in the goddamn house. Well, and they're all like, why are you beating them up? Because Vinny hit me. Go hit him.
That's true.
Fight me, motherfucker. I'm the one who hit you. That's what I don't get.
Yeah, me neither. I didn't understand.
That's what made it goddamn ridiculous. And then, here's the answer people gave, was that, you know, in order to get attention, you have to cause civil unrest. We're angry. We're not taking this anymore. We want to send the message because they said, and I quote, this is how you get shit done.
Yes, that's true.
So this is now the precedent that you've set.
Yes. You
set the table. And then the shit on January 6th goes down.
Yeah.
storming of the Capitol, people get pissed off, losing their minds. Why? They're angry, they had enough, and they're not taking this shit no more. No. Now, some people might be saying, well, Vinny, how come you don't have a problem with January 6th? Which I really didn't. I had one issue, and I'll get to that in a minute. But yet you're mad about all these. Here's my answer. The people that went into that Capitol were angry with the government. The government was their enemy. So when they were mad at the government, they took that shit to the government. They attacked the Capitol. They didn't burn the entire city of Washington, D.C. to the ground.
No, they did not.
Which I believe would have happened if things had gone the other way.
Yes.
And Trump had gotten reelected, and he was the president right here, right now.
Yeah.
That's exactly what the fuck would have happened.
Most likely it would.
Exactly what the fuck would have happened.
I'd be sitting back going like, you guys are pathetic.
I would have burned the shit to the ground. Now, the Capitol thing, I had one complaint about that.
What?
The guy who was running around there with the Confederate flag, that's the only issue I had.
Yeah.
That was no place for that. No. The Confederate flag did not belong in this. No Confederate flag should be in the White House. None of that shit should be in there. That guy was a prick. The rest of them, I get. But here's the thing that bothered me. When the cities were being burned to the ground, nobody said shit.
Nope.
But when the Capitol happened, all of a sudden, people are scared.
Yeah.
People are nervous. Y'all are frightened. Mm-hmm. You were more scared about government officials being attacked than your own goddamn city.
Yes.
That is the weirdest case of Stockholm Syndrome I've ever seen. To put that in layman's terms, that would be like if you were living in a house with someone who is physically abusing you. Mm-hmm. And one day, a guy snaps and beats the fuck out of the guy who's abusing you. Mm-hmm. And instead of sitting there going, go, whoop his ass like you should be, you attack the guy and save the abuser's life. That's pretty much the equivalent of what's going on here.
Pretty much.
Okay? Like, you can't sit here and go, this is how you handle business, and then get mad when another group is handling business the same way you set the table.
Yes.
You can't set a precedent and have it work only for you.
Very true.
That ain't how the game works.
No.
And here's another thing that I had a problem with.
What?
All the stuff that was getting burned down now, I don't know what was going on in LA. I think it was a different story in the 90s. I can only talk about today. Because I know more. I have more information on that. A lot of the businesses that were getting destroyed over the last 2 years, most of these businesses were black owned and black operated. Black owned and black operated. In what way? How do you uplift the black community by destroying black businesses?
I don't know. Does it make any logical sense? That's what we call an oxymoron.
It doesn't. And a lot of people were like, well, this can be replaced. My life cannot. Yeah, you're only saying that because you've never owned a business a day in your life.
Very true. You
don't know how that's destroying somebody's livelihood and how he feeds his family or her family. You destroying your own community doesn't uplift anybody.
No, it does not.
That was stupid. It was asinine. Here's how ridiculous it got. There was I think it was somewhere, I can't remember where it was. I can't remember if it was in Baltimore or Minnesota. One of the two. I have to remember off the top of my head. But at one point, there was all these, like, when they were just taking down Civil War statues and monuments.
Yeah.
One group got so pissed off, they vandalized a Civil War monument belonging to the 54th Battalion. Now, for those of you that don't know your history or didn't see the movie Glory,
it's the 54th Massachusetts.
You know what the 54th was?
Massachusetts.
Yeah, 54th Massachusetts. You know what they were?
All black unit.
An all black unit in the Civil War.
Led by a white guy.
I mean, it was led by a white guy. Except for Morgan Freeman's character, nobody else got an upgrade.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm saying, you're talking about taking down racism. First of all, the Union fought against racism. If you should want Civil War monuments anywhere, it should be Union soldiers in the North. They're the reason they have the freedom. They're the reason. And the 54th Monument was an all-black regiment that gave the black people who served in there their freedom. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, they didn't make the same amount of money as the white soldiers, whatever. Look, I'm all for the equal pay thing, but at least they got their fucking freedom.
That's true.
I think the freedom's more important than the money right now. I think. Now, when the war is over and everybody's free, then we can do some pay negotiations.
Yes.
But right now, I think freedom is more at stake. Because the money ain't going to do shit for you if you're still a slave.
Yes, that's true.
It ain't going to fucking work.
No, it's not.
But that's how goddamn ridiculous the shit got.
Yeah, it got pretty fucking ridiculous.
So, that's what I'm saying. If it's about police brutality, take it to the police. And just to be clear, I am not advocating violence towards police officers. I don't want people to think I'm doing that. I have no hatred for law enforcement. It comes and goes. It all depends on who pulls me over. That's what. If you pull me over and let me go with a warning, we cool.
Yes.
You give me a ticket, I hate you. It's the same thing. Okay? It all depends on who pulls me over.
Yes.
So, like I said, it can go either way. But anyway, I just want to get that off my chest because I need to fucking say that. But either way, one thing we can all agree on, Rodney King deserved his money and the LAPD fucked up.
Yes, it did.
So, in this particular case,
yes,
you can fuck the police.
Yes, fuck the police.
Now, hip-hop matured from a kind of political force that was on the fringes in the 1980s into the best on-the-ground news reporting of what was happening politically at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
The Source immediately put together an incredible special edition of the magazine that was in stark contrast to the kind of coverage that you would see in any other kind of mainstream media outlet.
Mm-hmm.
So they started reporting more on news and black culture and everything else.
Yeah.
Basically, whatever the mainstream media was too much of a pussy to print, they printed it. The stories hip-hop told were not fables. They were reality. As hip-hop's popularity grows, so does the influence of The Source. The magazine launches its own awards show where the line between the violence expressed in the music and the violence playing out in real life will fade away.
Yeah.
In 1990, The Source sets up offices in New York, filling mailboxes and magazine stands across the country with its glossy pages. Mm-hmm. Chuck D from Public Enemy dubbed The Source the Bible of hip-hop. So, when you get an endorsement from Chuck D, that's a big deal back then, because Public Enemy was really, really heavy in there back then.
Yeah.
Him and Flavor Flav, before he went nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is when Flavor Flav would say, yeah, boy, and everybody liked it. Mm-hmm. Now, today, it's creepy.
Very creepy.
Like, back then, he could wear a clock around his neck and nobody thought really twice about it. Now you kind of look at him and go, well, it's the gimmick.
I guess. I don't know.
I guess, but still, what the fuck, dude? That was like on that Flavor of Love, like when New York was obsessed with Flav, his mom said, why are you so into a grown man that wears a clock around his neck? Like his mom was looking at her like, are you insane? But she was dickmatized or something. Even though this magazine was founded by two white people that know their shit, and that's key. Mm-hmm. They weren't just two white people that created a magazine. They knew their shit when it came to hip-hop.
Yes.
Their word was bond. Mm-hmm. I wanted to say law. It was word is bond.
Bond.
They respected them. They were respected amongst hip-hop artists for knowing their shit. When it comes to hip-hop, they also knew they had to hire black journalists that knew the things they didn't know. And that's another thing that made them great. It's like, look, and that's the thing about us as white people. Mm-hmm. We can judge hip-hop music. Why? Because it's music.
Yes.
We can listen to it and judge for ourselves. This is good. This is bad. I like this. I don't like that. You know, and you can look at things from an objective standpoint.
Yeah, you can.
Like I've hung around enough black people to where I have an objective viewpoint of things that go on in black culture. Yes. But I don't pretend to know everything. And the reason I don't know everything is I'm not black. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be certain aspects of black culture that I'm just not going to know unless someone explains it to me. I would need to be explained to me. There's some things I know just based on life experience that I've seen, that I've witnessed, but I've never claimed to be an expert on black people. I'm not.
Either.
There's certain things I'm not going to understand, and as long as I got somebody black who's willing to explain it to me, and I do, then I can get a better understanding of it.
Yes, that's true.
Like, there's certain things you can only look at from an objective viewpoint, but unless you're in that culture or in that group, you don't fully know everything.
No, you do not.
And they were smart enough to know there's things they don't know.
No, they do not.
So we're going to hire these black journalists to educate what we don't know.
Very true.
Which thus brings more credibility to your magazine.
Very true.
Because the more talented the journalists are, not only the more money you make, but it ups your credibility as well.
Very true.
Because not only do you know hip-hop, you're smart enough to find the right black journalists to give the most accurate descriptions of black America.
Very true. Yes, sir.
So it was a brilliant move on their part.
Yes, it was.
They begin rating albums on a scale of 1 to 5 mics.
Yeah.
Kind of like Meltzer's 5-star rating.
Yes.
Except these guys actually know what they're talking about, and they're not kiss asses like Meltzer. With 5 mics being a hip-hop classic. Mm-hmm. If you didn't get at least 3 mics and up, you should basically quit hip-hop. Because your album and songs are trash.
Yep.
You had to have a 3 or higher for people to even talk to you. If you had 1 or 2 mics, no one was going to hear or buy your album.
Nope.
You were going to be just another broke-ass mixtape rapper.
That shit was whack.
Yes. Matty C ran the unsigned hype columnist at The Source. He was the one that heard Biggie's demo tape and featured him in the magazine. So he kind of hears Biggie Smalls. The Notorious B.I.G., as he's also called, was an up-and-coming rapper from Brooklyn who got the attention of the Source staff with an impressive demo showing off his easy flow. Mm-hmm. Puff Daddy got a hold of the demo when he had a meeting with the Source to help find new artists for his new label, Bad Boy Records, which he started in 1993.
Yes.
Because he used to work for one label, and he was going to sign Biggie, and they were going to make it to the top. Mm-hmm. But then Puffy got fired from that label.
Oh, okay.
And that's when he decided to create Bad Boy Records, because he was trying to reassure Biggie, because he was scared. Because when you're trying to get signed to a major label, and you have a contact on the inside, and that guy gets fired, you're like, fuck, now how am I going to get my foot in the door? But he's like, don't worry. We're going to do this. We're going to rise above this. And that's the thing about P. Diddy. There was no quitting him.
No, there was not.
He was a guy that was like, what don't break us will make us.
Yes, that's true.
And yes, I am paraphrasing because I can't say what he really said.
No, you cannot.
For YouTube reasons and complexion reasons, I cannot say that. That's true. Sean Puffy Combs scouts new talent for Uptown Records when he's not hosting some of New York's best hip-hop parties. Biggie was one of the first artists signed to Bad Boy Records. So he was scouting him for Uptown Records. Then when they fired him, he created Bad Boy and brought Biggie in. And the hip-hop parties, P. Diddy was the king of hip-hop parties.
Yeah, he was.
And I heard one story from Jamie Foxx where he talked about how he would get into the parties. He used to have one of those big-ass camcorders.
Yeah.
Like the Saved by the Bell type ones, or ones where you had to change the battery and shit.
Yeah.
And you put it on your shoulder.
Yeah.
And he would come into the parties and sneak in because he would tell Diddy, yo, man, we got to document this shit. These are cool kick-ass parties. So that's how he would come in. He would videotape and document the parties. And then one day, he heard P. Diddy was coming out to L.A. Mm-hmm. So he said, hey, I'm going to throw you a party. Yes. And he said, dude, how much money do you spend on these parties? He goes, like $1 million. He goes, dude, I can do the same exact party for $400. Under $400. Or maybe even under 200, maybe. I think it was one of them. He said, yo, don't play with me, man. My parties are big. They take them seriously. He goes, no, man, I got you. So he said, okay. So he went, and he called every celebrity friend he had. Yeah. So you had big names at the party. Yeah. And he went and got a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken. And he put it in a fancy plate. And he would go and get bottles of soda and put them in a pitcher so it looks fancy. He would get like cheap shit to hang up that looks stylish. And he was he probably get the $200 mark by the time he got there. Yeah. So under $400, he threw a party that rivaled what P. Diddy normally does. Because Jamie Foxx works on a budget.
Yes, he does.
And he used to throw a party because he would throw his own mansion parties. Yeah. And he told a story one time where at the party there's a guy in a green like velour jumpsuit standing in a corner not talking to anybody. Guess who it was?
Who?
Jay-Z.
Oh.
Before he blew up. This was before he became the man. And then he had Pharrell and the Neptunes came in. And they were cutting, and Jamie Foxx had a studio in the back because he used to like, because he always dreamed about being a musician. That's why he later transitioned to music. Yeah. But nobody took him seriously because he was a comic. Yeah. Then, one day, this guy comes in with a jaw wired shut. That's Kanye. Oh. I know he ain't popular to talk about right now, but this is the fucking story. But Kanye West comes in, starts doing this like flow stuff, and they try to get, Jamie Foxx on a song, and this is before they did the Gold Digger song. But they say, like, he wants some Marvin Gaye, some Luther Vandross, and the song goes to number 1. But at first, Jamie Foxx is trying to put his R&B spin on it. He's like, he wants some Marvin Gaye, and Kanye's like, what are you doing? He said, put my R&B spin on it. He goes, don't do that. Just do it normal. So he's thinking, this song's whack, it ain't gonna go nowhere. It goes to number 1. So that's how big his parties were. He had celebrities galore in that place. Now, Puffy understood how to package an artist and to make them sell. Puffy took Biggie and packaged him and molded him and turned him into the notorious B.I.G. that we all knew and loved.
Yes.
Like, he had the hardcore shit. He was the one that recommended the song Juicy to him. Because it was done by these, this, like, quartet group. It was like an R&B song. And he was listening to it, and he's trying to help him get inspiration. And Biggie's like, man, if I do this, they gonna laugh at me. He said, dude, you do this, they gonna laugh you all the way to the bank. He said, look, you got this cool gangsta shit, but I need something to play on the radio or no one's gonna hear this album. And that's the catch. You can have the gangsta shit.
Yes, you can.
But you need something that can be played on the radio so people will know who you are. And you can get your name out there.
Yeah,
then when they come to the concerts, then you hit them. It's like in comedy where you can have edgy material.
Yes, you can.
But every comic also had to have a TV set. And I don't mean TV like a TV set in your fucking room. I mean comedy set that was clean enough to be on TV. So you could do Leno, you could do Letterman, you could do Craig Ferguson, you could do Jimmy Fallon. Like, you had to have that type of set.
Yes.
So you could be on TV so people know who you are. Then when they come to your show, then you can bring that to the side to you.
Yes.
And that's how he came up with, and he literally didn't write nothing down, Biggie. He freestyled. He said, I need some Pepsi and some more weed and some females. Tell them we having a party. And so Puffy left to go on a business meeting. They're there for like an hour, like 2 hours. He's smoking, he's drinking, he's got girls around him. His baby mama's calling, he ain't gonna answer it. And then finally, P. Diddy comes back, he sees all this shit, and he's mad. He's like, motherfucker, you've been sitting here all day, have you written anything down? Do you have anything to play? Or are you just wasting my time and money? And Biggie said, I got something. And he walks in, he goes, he would say things like, and he was trying to do this whole like, random ass freestyle, chicken heads be cooking in my bathroom, fucking, it ain't nothing. And they're like, all right, anytime you want to stop playing. And then he says, drop the joint. And that's when he did, it was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine, Salt and Pepper and Heavy D up in the limousine, hanging pictures on my wall. Every Saturday, rap attack, Mr. Magic Marty Marr. I let my tape rock till my tape pop. Down on the bamboo, sipping on private stock. Laid back when I had the red and black lumberjack with the hat to match. Remember rapping Duke to hard, you never thought that hip hop would take it this far. Now I'm in the limelight cause I rhyme tight. Time to get paid, blow up like the world trade. The first time, not the second time. Because he did that, because the first time they tried to blow it up, they tried to like drive something in there and blow it up and it failed miserably because it was indestructible. Yeah. So this is before the planes. Yes. I want to say that. Like the world trade. He did that. Yeah. And then he would say things like, and if you don't know, now you know, insert. So, and he did that, and he's sitting there like, and Diddy's like, did he write any of this down? He's like, no, he just did that shit. And that's how they wrote the song Juicy. Yeah. And, now let's see, they got, The Source helps bring Biggie to the masses, chronicling his rise from local rapper to hip-hop heavyweight. When the Notorious B.I.G. lands his first cover, he's officially deemed the King of New York.
Yes. A picture of them standing beside the Twin Towers.
Yeah. A lot of people, a lot of conspiracy nuts, love to play with that.
I bet they did.
Oh, yeah. In the early 90s, New York was considered to be the mecca for hip-hop. But now, accordingly, hip-hop artists out west like NWA look to get their music heard.
Yes.
The rivalry used to be about who had the best beats and the best sound. Later, it would become something different.
Yes, that would be.
Some say it started because New York didn't play West Coast artists. When Dr. Dre releases The Chronic, his first solo record, it tops the charts. Helped by the video for the single, None But a G Thing, Baby.
Nothing but a G Thing.
Yeah. Or None But a G Thing.
G-Thing.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot to put the twist on it.
Dang.
But the source is accused of having an East Coast bias when it gives the album a less than perfect score. It got 4.5 mics instead of 5. When Snoop Dogg releases the record Doggy Style, along with the music video for Who Am I, What's My Name, which is another song I loved, it introduces gangsta funk, which is hip-hop with a West Coast twist. The source gives it high praise, helping to legitimize this new sound.
Yes.
Because Snoop Dogg had gangsta shit, but he was more smooth with his voice.
Yes, he was.
Like, I remember one time, Jamie Foxx, this is how cool Snoop Dogg was. This was like in like the late 90s, early 2000s. At one point, Jamie Foxx was having a party at his house, and Suge Knight was outside, wanting to get into the party. At one point, Snoop Dogg is dancing. He's got these girls around him. He's like partying, and Jamie Foxx goes, "Hey man, I hate to interrupt your flow right now, but Suge Knight's outside." And this is all Snoop Dogg does. He stops dancing and he goes, "You ain't gonna let him in, is you?" And Jamie Foxx is like, "No," and he goes, "Cool," and goes right back to dancing. That's how smooth he was. He was just like, "Wait, are you letting him in? No? Cool, I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck. Fuck it. I don't need to know." Behind the G-Funk movement is LA's Death Row Records, a label that Dr. Dre sets up with marrying Suge Knight. Suge Knight was definitely a big deal in the 90s. He ruled the world of hip-hop on the West Coast. Suge was not a producer or a writer. He was a strong arm who handled business like a gangster for real. Basically, look, you're not going to play my records? I'm going to make you play them. So, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. The choice is yours.
The choice is yours.
Yeah, I see you choosing the hard way. Suge's tactics seem to work, with hip-hop blaring from car windows and boom boxes from New York to LA.
Yes.
Yeah, boom boxes.
Remember the boom boxes?
They probably they're going, "What's a boom box? Is that why would you play something that would explode?" No, it's a big stereo you carry around. "Baby, come back." That's the white people. That's you. Nice. Imagine if they remade that and someone just had a phone. "Baby, come back." And any kind of fool could see.
No.
That would be funny as hell.
That would be funny as hell.
It's like, it's not as romantic. It's that's easy to lift.
That's very easy to lift.
The Source launches a grassroots marketing campaign to bring the magazine's music to the country at large. They use the Source van, which was like the ice cream truck of hip-hop.
Yeah.
They would send the van around the country to every city, small, medium, and large-sized cities. Go into neighborhoods, pull up outside of record stores, schools, and parks, blasting music. Yeah. It was like a mobile block party. They would pass out promotional items like CDs, posters, stickers, etc. And keep in mind, this was during a time where you could park a van outside of a school and no one thought you were sketchy. Because back then, you could still do that.
Yep.
Nowadays, you ain't parking a van outside no school, no goddamn where.
Nowhere at all.
You better have Fox 5 or 11 Alive on the side of that motherfucker.
Or CBS or NBC.
Yeah, it better be a news van or you fucked.
Or you be getting arrested out of the van.
Yeah. While the Source will help introduce hip-hop to Middle America, one West Coast artist will emerge as the voice of a generation. Yep. That man was Tupac Shakur.
Tupac Shakur.
He was the most influential man in all of hip-hop.
Yes, he was.
He reached the bottom of the streets and the top of the suburbs. Yep. Everything he said, good or bad, came from his heart. And he said, if it's wrong, God ain't finished with me yet. Let him check me. Which, I gotta tell you this.
What?
I respect the honesty of that.
Yeah, I respect the honesty of that too.
He's like, look, everything I say is honest from my heart.
Yep. Whether
it's right or wrong. And if I'm wrong, don't judge me. Mm-hmm. Let God judge me.
Yes.
If I'm wrong, if I'm fucking up, eventually God will check me. Yep. And I'll turn around and get it right. Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yes, I do.
And because that's the rule. When people say, that's why I hate people that would say shit like, you going to hell. I'm sorry, are you God? Because last I checked, he made that decision.
Yep, not you.
That's my answer. God will decide whether or not I go to hell. You can shut your whore mouth.
Yep.
He was a smart kid. When he was 10 years old, his mother had him read the New York Times cover to cover every single day. Tupac had wordplay, passion, and purpose.
Yes.
That was his lyrics. Wordplay, passion, and purpose. He was also militant and a little bit crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Very militant. Went crazy towards the end.
Yes.
Despite hailing from different coasts, Biggie hooks up with LA-based Tupac, who becomes both a friend and a mentor. As his career soars, Biggie turns to Tupac for advice in navigating the business. So that's the key thing in this whole conversation. When they started out, they were the best of friends.
Yes, they were the very best of friends.
I still remember that one scene in Notorious where they're hanging out at a club, and this guy comes up and goes, "Hey, Pac, man, I'm sorry to interrupt, man. Can we have you guys say a little something to the camera?" Pac turns around and goes, "Man, fuck your camera." He goes, and he says, "Nah, I'm just playing with you, dog. Come on over here, man." It's like, "Yo, I'm Tupac, hanging out here with my homeboy Notorious B.I.G. on the scene. We about to wreak havoc on you motherfuckers." He's like, "Tell him, Big." He goes, "True that, true that. I'm hanging out with my man Tupac, school me to the game and shit. Look at where we at, though, man. We Sean Don sippers, got black white peacemakers. We balling and styling." And Pac's like, "Yeah, we taking your money and then we taking your bitches using your money. Because we gangster like that.
Yeah.
We gonna take your money and then we gonna spoil your bitches with your money." Yep. I love that part. The Source wants to evolve the business while still keeping it real.
Yep.
One of the most powerful players in the music industry, mega producer Quincy Jones, seems to want to help Mays realize his vision. So talking about Quincy Jones, who is one of the biggest music producers on the planet Earth. Yeah. Quincy Jones, one of the man. Now, in 1993, as Bill Clinton's inauguration is celebrated, with a pop music-filled concert produced by Quincy Jones, America's youth is tuned in to a very different sound.
Yes.
Hip-hop is growing fast, and the 60-year-old Jones was in on the action. So they're doing a lot of the pop music at Bill Clinton's inauguration. Yeah. But hip-hop's starting to grow, so it's like, yeah, y'all can do this pop shit right here. Y'all can have your little Quincy, your little R&B fun shit. We listen to hip-hop, it's a much better noise than whatever the fuck you guys are putting out. Yes. The problem is, he didn't understand the DNA of hip-hop. Yep. Not only that, but when the Source goes to meet with him, he thinks they're meeting up for a collaboration. But Quincy tells them he is starting his own magazine and wants to buy them out for $600,000 and give them jobs working for him. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Obviously, we know what happens, but what would you do in that particular situation?
Say no, that magazine is worth more than $600,000.
Way more.
Way more.
I'm sorry. As much influence as they had on hip-hop, you don't need a hell of a bigger number than $600,000, my friend.
$600,000, no.
Sorry, that ain't kosher. Now, some of them considered the offer, but Mays was angry and upset. However, he politely declined the offer. Yes. So instead of being like, "Fuck you, motherfucker," he's like, "You know what? I'm good, man. Thanks." And I give him mad respect for being able to hold his cool like that. Yeah, I was like, because I would be insulted.
That would be insulting.
That you think you can just buy me out when I think you want to collaborate? You ego-driven son of a bitch. With a deep pocket of Time Warner backing him, Quincy launches a competitor to The Source called Vibe Magazine. Which I never knew that. I had no idea Vibe was a competitor to The Source. Yeah. And I've seen Vibe magazines everywhere. I've never seen... Here's the weird thing. I've seen Vibe magazines in certain places, like waiting rooms and shit. Yeah. I've never seen a Source magazine nowhere. Me neither. Never in my life. Never seen one. Yep. I'm not saying Vibe is better. They're not. Yeah. I'm just saying I learned something from this. Yes. I learned a little history. The first issue features rapper Snoop Doggy Dogg on the cover. Vibe was one of the first commercial magazines that had advertising and looked really slick with really cool artwork. Yeah. As opposed to The Source, which was grittier with more street, heart, and edge. Yeah. So that's the kind of the difference. You know, it's like The Source is like, we're working class. You know, Vibe is like, we balling. Yeah, I hear you. That's the difference. It's like the gritty rappers and the rich rappers who are living in luxury. You could have both a source and vibe in the room and not feel as though one or the other had to be the dominant portrait of what's happening in hip-hop. Mm-hmm. So even though they were competing, there wasn't like you could have both of them on a stand and nobody would look at you and go, yo man, why you got this magazine in your house?
Yeah, I got that.
People didn't do that shit. While the source and vibe battle it out on newsstands, East Coast and West Coast hip-hop artists also go to war.
Yes, I do.
The one-time friendship between Biggie and Pac is an early casualty when they turn against each other.
That's very true.
On November 30th, 1994, Tupac is shot while being robbed in the lobby of New York's Quad Recording Studios. He believes it's a setup by East Coast rivals and points to Biggie and Bad Boy Records' Sean Puffy Combs, who were in the building at the time of the shooting, as somehow being involved. So, because Pac was coming in there, and they were inviting him up. Next thing you know, he's getting robbed. Biggie's going down there trying to help him. By the time he gets there, it's too late.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because he's coming down, Pac's going up the elevator. Mm-hmm. They're like, what happened? And he's yelling at him like, y'all set me up. They're like, what the fuck? Biggie and Puffy deny any involvement. But Vibe magazine adds fuel to the growing controversy. Yeah. Which is why Vibe has quickly become one of the most hated magazines in the world.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because they basically poured gasoline on a fire that could have easily been put out if people had just sat down like grown fucking men and talked shit out.
That's very true.
Biggie even at one point said, like, you know, there was a time where I wish Pac and I could have just went to the side, said, hey man, let's talk this shit out. But the truth is, we were way beyond that.
Yeah, I can understand.
Things got way beyond that to the point where Biggie tried to reconcile with him, but after a certain point, Biggie's just like, all right, fuck me, fuck you too, motherfucker.
I got you.
And here's the thing. After a certain point, you get tired of either apologizing for an accident or defending your good name. And you're just like,
that sounds awfully familiar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, bringing up shit from the past.
And you don't?
When's the last time I heard about anything from the past?
Every time you've been in a car with me telling stories?
Oh, those stories.
You feel the need to tell every story from the past when we're riding together. Okay?
Most likely when we go get something to eat, most likely I'm like, hey, remember this stuff? I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Do you remember the time? Yes, I remember the time. Remember when Yes, I remember. Go get kidnapped. Have some new shit happen to you. They sent journalist Kevin Powell to interview Tupac, who at the time is in prison on sexual assault charges about the supposed ambush. Powell would later tell Vibe that Tupac had no love for his former friend. Yellow M&Ms and green M&Ms don't come together. Okay. Question. I need verification on
What's
this.
What's that
now,
verification?
When you say yellow and green don't come together, do you mean, are you talking like colors mixed together when forming the M&Ms? Because I've opened up a few M&Ms bags in my life. Mostly when I try to experiment with the idea of liking M&Ms, even though I personally don't. I've tried liking them, I just don't.
I've seen that.
But here's the thing. Yellow M&Ms and green M&Ms tend to come together in the same fucking bag.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, what do you mean they don't come together? Have you opened a bag of candy? I've opened Skittles. There's a reason why their slogan is Taste the Rainbow. And it's not because it was founded by gay people. It's because they have different rainbow colors together in a bag.
Yes, they do.
They're in the bag.
They're in the bag.
Are you what? I've heard some people say, like, you know, like oil and water or oil and milk don't mix or something like that. You know, come up with something that actually doesn't mix together to try to explain how people shouldn't interact and whatever. But yes, they come together in a fucking bag, you idiot.
Yes, they do.
It's a bag of M&Ms. Oh my God, that was a dumb. I had to pause it and go.
I go like.
Did he say what I think he just?
I said green and red M&Ms don't mix together. Okay, I don't know why you had to use that comparison.
That was a horrible fucking comparison.
Very horrible.
There are different colors in every. That's like saying white people and black people don't live in the same country. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
Whether they interact, some do, some don't.
Some don't.
Or where do they get married and have kids? Some do. Some don't.
Some don't.
But we all still live together in one goddamn country.
Yes, we do.
I walk down the street, I'm gonna see black people somewhere.
Yes.
Hell, there's one that lives next door to me. I see him most of the time when we're in the cul-de-sac, and he's a nice guy. We get along. But I'm just saying, that was a stupid fucking statement.
Yeah, that was a very stupid statement.
That was the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. All right. A few months later, Biggie released a single titled "Who Shot Ya?"
Who shot ya?
Imagining himself in the role of the killer. Though the track was recorded months before the Quad studio shooting and doesn't reference Tupac, none of that seems to matter. Tupac takes it as a direct attack.
Uh-huh.
And that's why everybody keeps wondering, did he shoot Tupac? And everybody wants to know, is he behind it?
But it hasn't been proven, so no.
And the worst part is, Biggie wanted to talk to Pac.
Yes, he did.
But P. Diddy was like, look, he ain't thinking clearly right now. We got to rise above this.
Yes, we do.
And I think that was Diddy's mistake.
Yeah.
I think he should have let Biggie at least try to talk to Pac.
Yes.
At least try.
Very true.
I think the fact that Diddy was too worried about the bad publicity, I think that was, from a business standpoint, I get it, but I think that caused things could have at least tried.
Yes.
Then if Biggie says, fuck this motherfucker, at least you can say, look, I tried to reconcile with him. I tried to clear my name. The motherfucker didn't want to listen, so now he can go piss up a rope. Now, with bicoastal tension simmering, the Source hopes to lower the temperature by bringing the community together in a celebration of the music. The first televised Source Awards is held at Madison Square Garden's Paramount Theater. Which, by the way, there's a lot of comedians who said they played Madison Square Garden. With the exception of people like Andrew Dice Clay and Dane Cook and Aziz Ansari and Kevin Hart and a few others, Sebastian Maniscalco. Most of them, when they say they played the Garden, they played the Paramount Theater. This is the night that Suge went on stage and said his most infamous line.
What?
Any artists out there that want to be artists and want to stay a star and not have to worry about the executive producer. All up in the videos, all on the records, dancing, come to death row. They then threw up the West Side Gang signs and the crowd boozed them out of the building because Diddy was synonymous with New York. But this was what lit the East Coast, West Coast fire. This is what elevated it to another level. This is where the battle lines were officially drawn.
Yes.
It was less about the music and more about who was going to have the more dominant cultural footprint. So at some point, it's no longer about the music.
No.
This is now a battle for supremacy in hip-hop. Tensions escalate when Snoop Dogg calls out the East Coast audience for not respecting the West Coast. He goes, the East Coast don't have love for Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg? The East Coast don't have love for Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg? And Death Row? Y'all don't love us? Y'all don't love us? Well, let it be known then. We got y'all East Coast. We know where the fuck we at.
Yes, we do.
And Snoop Dogg pretty much put his statement on it. Lines got drawn and sides were taken. And a rivalry developed between the two camps. Bad Boy versus Death Row. Suge versus Puffy. Biggie versus Pac. East versus West.
Yes.
That's what
we're living in the South. I was at least.
Battle lines are drawn.
Yep.
And there was tension, but thankfully there was no violence.
Yes.
So that's the key thing here. Even though at the Source there was shots being fired, they were verbal shots, not gunshots.
Yes.
There was no violence. No punches, no kicks, no nothing. As rap music surges to the top of the charts, politicians become its most outspoken critics.
Yeah, I remember that.
They say it's offensive and filth. It's negative. It's in the wrong direction. It's going to cause people to get killed. It doesn't belong out there. It's a type of music that can pump somebody up to the point where they have total hatred.
Yes, that's true.
Now, Here's the thing. This is right around the time when the media wants to censor everything.
Very true.
And fuck them for wanting to do that.
Yes, that's true.
Here's the thing. That people never seem to understand. And this is why I've always been against people who talk about violence in the media. It's one of the main reasons why I've been anti-Hillary Clinton for most of my life. Add in other shit you can add to that,
yes.
But that's the core of it. And as I mentioned before, on previous shows, YouTube shows, violence in the media was the one thing Trump did as president that pissed me off. When he tried to go that same route during his presidency. That was the one thing about him that upset me. And that shows you I am very much against anybody that tries to blame music or TV or video games or whatever on people being violent. The reason the people who are being pumped up to a level of hatred already have the hatred in their hearts.
That's very true.
That's the thing. The people who are, and the reason they're hateful is because they're angry.
Very angry.
And they're angry at the system for how they treat their community. They're angry at people who try to talk down to them and tell them how to live their lives. And most importantly, they're angry against the other team.
Very true.
The people in the West hate the East.
Yes, that's true.
People in the East hate the West.
That's true.
And it trickled down to the people.
Very true.
That's why, again, in that Notorious video, you see montages of people talking about East Coast, West Coast. They're not even fucking rappers. They're just regular people going, fuck the East Coast. I hate the motherfucking West motherfucking Coast. Just back and forth. East Coast started this shit. Y'all on the West Coast, we elevated that motherfucker. And they would say we like in sports when an athlete team wins. We won the World Series. You didn't even fucking play. It's like we elevated music. You ain't even a fucking rapper, my friend. Sad. It's also the era of Bill Clinton's infamous crime bill.
Yeah.
Known as the 1994 Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act, which results in longer and harsher prison sentences. The crime bill was a response to perception, to rising crime rates, and the fear of black youth that were out of control. And I remember one time during the elections, like when Hillary Clinton was running, and people were talking about how great Bill Clinton is. Jerry Truman, shout out to our homeboy Jerry, he actually referenced the Bill Clinton crime bill for a reason why Jerry has no love for the Clintons. Now, he didn't like Trump either. No, he didn't. I'll clarify that right now. But he damn sure did not like the Clintons. And he is not a Bill Clinton fan at all because of this crime bill. And these are one of the things that Bill Clinton did as president that was fucked up because, like I said, it was geared towards the black community. Now, there was a moment, because on Darkside of the 90s, they show, when they talk about that, they show clips of Bill Clinton giving a speech.
Yes.
If you look real closely, and I caught this, Bill Clinton shakes hands and hugs a certain senator. Do y'all know who that senator was?
Who's that senator?
Our current beloved president, Joe Biden.
Ah!
Joe Biden's in the picture.
I didn't see that.
So Bill Clinton gives a whole speech about crime and everything, and who's endorsing it?
Joe Biden.
The man currently running the fucking country.
Yep.
Tell me again how the Democrats help the black community. Especially when it's gone on record. Not only that, Joe Biden has even said deplorable things about black people while he was senator.
Yes, he was.
When they were integrating the public schools, he called it was going to turn into a racist jungle. Or something like that. Like it was going to turn into a jungle. Like Joe Biden said that shit. I know some people are going to go, well, he said that a long time ago. Well, last I checked, that's y'all's MO too. You set the precedent. If you said something a long time ago, it might as well apply to today. Because you guys take shit from the past and apply apply it to today.
Very true.
Unless it goes against your narrative.
Very true.
That's why no one respects you dumbass snowflakes. Because y'all have no consistency in your arguments.
No, you do not.
And you know that I did. Because from just now, with the whole violence in the media thing, I called out Hillary and I called out Trump, the guy I voted for. So there's consistency in my arguments. I ain't playing no favorites. Y'all are.
Yes, that's true.
But yeah, Joe Biden, a young Joe Biden, if you can believe he was ever young. Joe Biden is in the
young. Forever young.
Really?
I'm kidding.
Have you seen him?
No, I'm just fucking with you.
Sleepy Creepy Joe was not forever young. It was more like he was young for maybe 4 years. Then he lost the aging cream or some shit. But my point is, Joe Biden's in the picture.
Yes, he is.
He's in the video.
He's in the
hugging
video.
Bill Clinton. Well done on your speech, Mr. President.
Very true, sir.
Oh my god, it was fucking hilarious. I laughed so goddamn hard. Part of the reason it took me a long time to finish it was because I had to stop laughing before I could finish watching the rest of the video. And I was like, oh my god. Now, they had home security commercials they would air for to get home security systems.
Yep.
And there was a young black teenager saying, I know when you're home and when you're not. I'm sorry. I got 2 questions. First of all, who the fuck thought that was a good idea for a commercial? Here's an idea. Try running that today.
That's not going to work.
Oh, God, that commercial wouldn't last 10 seconds.
Nope.
Oh, my God, there'd be so many angry people. And rightfully so. But here's the other thing. How much did you pay that kid to be in that commercial?
Too much.
There had to be a boatload of money. Because I can't imagine anybody black wanting to be in that commercial. You must have paid his student loans. You must have paid his rent for a year. You had to give him some type. There's no way you could have paid him regular commercial type money to do that commercial.
Yes.
No way. I know standard fees for commercials. I see them in auditions all the time. Sadly, I've never been in a TV commercial. I've done radio spots, but never TV.
Yep.
But here's the thing. You had to pay him something. That was a fucked up commercial.
Yes, it was.
But again, in the 90s, there were no PC police yet.
Nope.
They were coming.
They were coming.
But they weren't there. But in 93, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
And at the same time, Cops becomes a popular show.
Yes, it does.
And the focus is on a lot of black crimes. It shows black people as prey and threat. Now, as I mentioned before, the show Cops is its own episode entirely in Darkside of the 90s. So we're not going to get into that. We will address anything involving Cops will be addressed on that episode. I'm just bringing it up because it's here, but we're not going to go into detail on that.
Yeah.
We'll dig into this later. Before blogs and social media, print magazines dictate the story.
Yeah.
The Source preaches the positive messages in rap, while Vibe wallows in the East versus West clashes. The media leaned into it, and it fueled the flames and caused people to curate a narrative of, is there a division? Who's better? Is there hip-hop any less or more hip-hop than New York hip-hop? So basically, the Source is just trying to tell the story.
Yeah.
Vibe is basically fanning the flames and allowing this shit to continue. This is why Vibe is a shitty fucking magazine. Because they keep pushing the narrative and making this rivalry grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. You know why?
Why?
They care more about making money than actual people's lives.
That's true.
This is why most businessmen are not respected. Because you will take people's emotions and feelings and well-being and cast them to the side for the almighty dollar.
Almighty dollar.
It has that's why I hated retail so much. Because it had nothing to do with customer service and everything to do with corporate greed. And it sickened me.
Very sickening.
Now, in the process, artists got hurt by it. Some even lost their lives over it.
Yes, they did.
Vibe used their covers and stories to continue to sensationalize and fuel the beef.
Yeah. In
a way, they did. They were making people believe that they were serious gangsters, and they weren't.
They were not gangsters to a certain extent. They weren't.
No, they had some gangsta tendencies, but they weren't really like out there shooting and killing people. No, most of them were doing business deals and just making music. They had their families. Yeah. They were regular people. Yeah. And the gangster thing was a persona. It was part of who they were, but it wasn't their whole personality. It was just, it's like in wrestling when someone has a certain gimmick. It's their real persona dialed up to 11.
Yes.
That's what gangster rap was. Their gangster personalities dialed up to 11. Sensing things spinning out of control, Quincy Jones holds the Vibe Summit in New York. In attendance are Suge Knight, Dr. Dre, Puffy, and Biggie. In contrast to his magazine, Jones preaches taking hip-hop in a more positive direction. But the summit proves to be too little too late.
Too late, too late.
You know, it's just too little too late.
Too little too late.
Yep. Because guess what? Pac ain't ready to let this go. And as I said before, Biggie's given up trying to solve it.
Yeah.
Tupac releases Hit 'Em Up. A diss track aimed at Puffy's Bad Boy crew in the song he claims. And in the song, he claims to have slept with Biggie's estranged wife, singer Faith Evans. Yeah. First off, fuck your bitch and the clique you claim. West Side, when we ride, come equipped with game. You claim to be a player, but I fucked your wife. I'ma take you all down, fuck for life. Yeah. That's literally what he did. That was most of that song. Yep. And I remember because Biggie lost his shit when he heard that.
Yeah.
And it destroyed whatever reconciliation him and Faith Evans were going to do.
Yep.
Because Biggie just lost his cool. Now, eventually, he apologized to Faith. But that was also too little too late.
Yeah.
So he finally asked what happened with Pac. He said, you could have just asked me. He goes, all right, I'm asking. What happened? He said, I just went over there, I did an interview, and that was it. I never slept with him. And Biggie says, okay, I believe you. But the emotions got the better of him.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. Fat boy murdered on wax and killed. That song was personal. In another interview Vibe, Tupac continues to lash out at Biggie, where he talks about schooling his one-time protege. And here's the thing he says. He goes, I'm just mad at my little brother when he don't respect me. Now, when you don't respect me, I'ma spank your ass. I don't give a fuck how rich you got on the block. I'm your big brother. I will break your big ass down.
Yeah, that was basically another diss towards Biggie.
Well, it was. Because he was trying to say why he hates Biggie so much. And he also said the reason he did the song was because Biggie's talking about being Big Papa and you married. If you got a wife, you not a pimp. You ain't a player. You married, son. Towards the end of his life, his music was more violent and aggressive.
Yeah.
And sadly, that's what most people remember him for. Hell, that's what I remember him for.
I mean, that's the only thing I can remember. I remember him being controversial. I have to listen to him on Spotify. Like, okay, I see what they're trying to say. That's what he's trying to say.
But if you listen to a lot of his other music, and you listen to the powerful messages and ideas that he conveyed for many years through his music and lyrics, he was a revolutionary.
Yes, he was.
Hell, I still remember the song, I Get Around. I Get Around. I Get Around. Like I like that song. That's one of the few songs by Tupac I like. The East Coast West Coast tensions boiled over at the 1996 Soul Train Awards, forcing host Don Cornelius to get involved. Tupac and Biggie were in the parking lot and circling each other, brandishing guns. So basically, they're not shooting each other. They're just trying to scare the other person.
Yeah, I see that.
Like, I'm gonna shoot your ass. Bring it on, motherfucker. Break yourself. Like, they're trying to bluff each other. The source did a cover during the middle of this with Suge Knight. The headline was, "It ain't no East Coast, West Coast thing." They were worried about this turning into gang violence amongst young kids, so they interviewed Suge Knight to talk to him and get him to say that and put it on the front cover of the magazine, that it's about Death Row and Bad Boy. And that's what we're trying to say. Like, look, this is not about an entire coast hitting an entire coast. This is about Death Row and Bad Boy. This is about Suge Knight and P. Diddy. This is about Biggie versus Pac. We're not, don't do any of this gangsta shit. Leave the gangsta shit to us. Let us handle our business. Y'all stay out of it.
Yeah.
We don't need innocent people getting killed.
No, we do not.
September 7th, 1996. Tupac Shakur, one of hip-hop's most iconic figures, is gunned down on the Las Vegas Strip.
Yes, he was.
He died in the hospital 6 days later.
Yep.
The source did a tribute article to him and his legacy.
Yep.
In the months to follow, conspiracy theories arise about who pulled the trigger.
Mm.
All eyes laid on Bad Boy's East Coast crew.
Yes, it did.
But Tupac's murderer remains at large.
Yes, he does, still to this day.
To this day, they still haven't figured this out. He was shot in Vegas.
Yes.
On the Las Vegas Strip.
And nobody saw a fucking thing?
No one saw anything.
Yeah, bullshit.
Well, yeah. That's the thing. That's why Chris Rock had that thing about the government hates rap.
Mm-hmm.
Because they can't solve Tupac's murder, but they could find Saddam Hussein in a hole in Iraq. But you can't say who shot Tupac.
Speaking of that, we're the most powerful country on earth. We can't find the most wanted terrorists. Well, Ron White had the fun. Osama bin Laden was living with 7 wives. If I was him, I'd be sticking around him. I'm right fucking here.
He's a 6 foot Afghan on dialysis. Why is that so fucking hard to find?
Oh God.
Yeah. For Biggie, it's a sign to put the rap beast behind him.
Yeah.
But the realization comes too late.
Yeah, that's true.
While the hip hop world is still reeling from the death of Tupac Shakur, another is soon to follow.
Yeah.
6 months after Tupac's death, Biggie at the age of 24 is murdered in a drive-by, gunned down after a Soul Train party in Los Angeles.
Okay.
The car was riddled with bullets, leaving him so badly wounded that he was pronounced dead at the nearby Cedars-Sinai Hospital. Which, ironically, a lot of celebrities, whenever they're dead or rushed to the hospital, that's the hospital they all tend to die in.
What hospital?
Cedars-Sinai Hospital.
Oh, really?
Think about it. Anybody that's died in California, most of the time, if they're rushed to the hospital and they die at the hospital, that's the hospital almost all of them die at.
Maybe the hospital's cursed. Well, he was shot several times, so.
No, I'm just saying. I noticed that.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a celebrity hospital that they just trust or whatever that won't get bombarded with fans and shit. But there's got to be a reason all of them go to that one hospital.
Yes.
That's literally where celebrities go to die.
Yep.
Literally. New York took an L with this loss. Biggie meant so much to people there. The pain of the funeral was like Mandela.
Yeah.
People were on the ground crying. They were so hurt. Mm-hmm. It was a big loss for the hip-hop community. It was another major loss, and the blame game continues.
It still continues, still to this day.
Some felt it was retaliation for what happened to Tupac, whether it was done by Suge Knight or Tupac fans. People are wondering. There are some conspiracy people think Suge Knight orchestrated it.
A lot of people still do. I do.
Yeah. Fans in general turn away from the headlines and find other ways to memorialize Pac and Biggie, using murals, t-shirts, and ghetto art depictions. What was it about Suge Knight?
Everybody still thinks like he had something to do with it. Can't prove it, even though the fucker's in jail.
Yeah. But
still to this day, it's still unsolved. It's like, we have the technology, you still can't figure this out?
Yeah.
You don't have the archives going back to those days? Probably not. Anyways.
Yeah. Even Snoop Dogg doesn't like him anymore.
Yeah.
I remember one time there was this like reel I saw on Facebook. Somebody said, there was an interview with Snoop Dogg. He said, Suge Knight said you used to be a gangster, now you're gone soft. He said, well, he used to be a producer, now he's an inmate. And then flips and then gives the finger. The two top artists are dead.
Yes, they are.
And the music is eclipsed by a sensational story.
Yes, true.
In the aftermath of Biggie and Pac's deaths, hip-hop insiders point the finger at Vibe magazine for fueling the ongoing war between Tupac and Biggie.
Yeah, that's true.
In a tribute to Biggie, the source asks the question on everyone's mind: how can hip-hop move past the violence? Many believe that the people try to portray rap music in a negative way by blaming their deaths on gang violence. Yes. As a founder of Source magazine, Dave Mays was an eyewitness to the rise of hip-hop and the fall of two of its brightest lights. Mays blames an element of government and law enforcement infiltration and involvement because hip-hop's had a movement similar to the Black Power in the 1960s.
I can believe that, yes or no.
He does believe the government got in on that.
I don't know about that.
Because they were threatened. Which I normally wouldn't believe that, but because of the crime bill, I can somewhat believe that.
Yeah, same here.
That's where I get some of that belief from. That can be true. The source still tracks what's happening in the world of hip-hop, including the closing of West Coast-based Death Row Records after Suge Knight is sent to prison on assault charges.
I wonder who he assaulted.
Can only imagine. The magazine also documented the many hits released by East Coast-based Bad Boy Records, including the song and video for I'll Be Missing You, which is a tribute to Biggie.
Yeah.
Well, that's another good song.
That is a very good song. Remember from Rush Hour.
Yeah.
Remember Jackie Chan going to...
That's Rush Hour 2 because he thought Chris Tucker was dead.
Yeah.
So he starts doing the head movement that Chris Tucker used to do in the car. All he wanted was some mushu.
Nobody understands the words coming out of your mouth, man.
Mays left the source in 2006, but the magazine still continues its mission and remains the longest-running voice in hip-hop journalism.
Yes.
Puffy and Snoop called for a truce to end the war, so kids could have something to live for.
There you go.
So eventually, Puffy and Snoop bury the hatchet.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that on the Steve Harvey show.
Yeah.
Because at one point they came into the room, or I think it was like Puffy was. I think Snoop was there. I think Puffy walked in, and Snoop kind of came up and said, "Hey, what's going on?" And Steve was like, "Whoa, guys! I don't want none of this East Coast, West Coast stuff happening. This is school, man." He said, "Nah, man, that's all good." Snoop and I goes, "Yeah, man. That's all overhyped by the media. We boys right now."
Yep.
And he invites him to come speak to the class.
Mm-hmm.
Women eventually came into hip-hop, and even still today, it brings attention to social justice and deals with the problems still going on today.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of rap artists and a lot of other people doing stuff. Like I think one example is like at the Super Bowl when Beyonce was performing with Coldplay and I think Bruno Mars is the other guy. Yeah. She kind of came out and she was doing some kind of like Black Lives Matter like tribute thing and stuff, and there's a lot of other things that are bringing awareness and stuff. Like I'm not gonna go into detail about it, but obviously the big thing was Eminem kneeling at the Super Bowl and all that shit, and just different ways, different things. So because hip hop still speaks to what goes on in the world today.
Yeah, it does.
And it's definitely over time, it's evolved. There's been good. There's been some bad.
Yes, it has.
There's there's lyricists, and then there's the ones who mumble. I know Zach wanted to talk about that, so Zach.
Okay, question. How in the living fuck does a dude with a rainbow grill, pink dreadlocks, walk around in a school full of lockers with a tiger repeating Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, Gucci Gang, and gets 1.2 billion views on more than Tupac and Biggie ever had? It's sad and fucking pathetic. It's not mumble rap. It's called dick in the mouth. Little dicky, little this, little baby. I was like, all you guys have dreadlocks, a multi-rainbow color, and you have face tattoos at the age of 20. You're trying way too fucking hard and making our guys look bad, you fucks.
Yeah, mumble rap is garbage.
It's fucking... Okay, and people get pissed. What about the middle you listen to? It's like, well, you can somewhat understand what I listen to a certain point, but shut up. You know what I mean? But still to this day, I'm like, no, you guys really, really suck. That 6ix9ine guy, remember him? And like, oh my god, if I could just punch you in the face, and if I could hit you so hard, maybe I can knock your rainbow girl out. Hey, look, the rainbow.
Yeah. But yeah, we kind of say that for the end to get that out of the chest. And of course, they talk about women in hip hop. They're talking about Mary J. Blige and Lil' Kim and everything else. And
The Brat, one of my favorite actors. She's a black actress, Queen Latifah. And
Latifah was great.
Queen Latifah. Can I say something? I find her fucking wonderful.
She's great.
I love Queen Latifah.
Oh yeah.
Her movies are fucking hilarious. The best movie was her with Steve
Martin.
Steve Martin,
Bringing Down the House. Yeah.
It's such a good movie. It's like Lee. Who won Lee?
Here's the thing. We're going to be getting into more about Queen. We can talk more about Queen Latifah on a future episode because she's going to be featured down the road. So we'll get to that. But I just wanted to give Zach a chance to get the mumble rap stuff off his chest.
Fuck that.
But we're saving that. We want to save that for the end.
Oh, man. How bad is that? Rip Vinny? Is it bad?
No, it's sad. It is like
You guys are trying way too hard.
Y'all like I need to understand what you're saying. If I can't understand what you're saying, your song sucks.
And some of these kids,
it sucks.
All these kids who listen to these new rappers, you ever heard of this guy? It's like, who is that? I go, no. Like, you listen to old school shit. It's like, yeah, the old school guys influence you fuckers.
Exactly.
Shut up.
You bite their style, try to make it fresher. It ain't working. Because no one can understand what your ass is saying.
I hear the next person I say MGK is better than that song, I'm going to get pissy. I was like, yeah.
Rap Devil got some blows. Kill Shot killed it.
Killed it.
Exactly. It was the end.
What did he say? I had to have a career to destroy it.
He said I had to give you a career to destroy it. Or he was like, what good is a fucking machine gun when it's out of ammo?
How are you going to have a man dump and name yourself after, I forgot how it goes.
How can you name yourself after a damn gun and have a man bun?
We could do that song pretty well, but otherwise than that.
Yeah. And I guess that, ladies and gentlemen, will wrap up this episode of Boochcast Reviews Darkside of the 90s. Thanks for joining us. Tune in next week. We got a good one here. Mm-hmm. This one's going to be fun. It's kind of similar to the Baywatch one, but
this one.
It's going to go a different route because this one is Secrets of the Runway. That's right. Secrets of the Runway is going to be next week here on the Boochcast YouTube channel. So thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you follow us on all of our podcast platforms. Links are down in the description box below. Follow us on all of our social media platforms. Links are down in the description box below. You can support the Boochcast by going to anchor.fm/theboochcast/support. Link is down in the description box below. And, of course, hit the subscribe button and ring that bell to be notified so you never miss another episode of Boochcast Reviews Darkside of the 90s, as well as other additional Boochcast YouTube content. We'll talk to you guys next time. Until then, pizza, baby!